It's 2 in the morning. You're asleep. Your garden is dark and completely still, and a fox is hunting in it right now. Not scavenging, not wandering around looking for leftover food, actively hunting, stalking, using a set of skills so precise and so strange that most people who see it happen have no idea what they just watched. The red fox moving through your garden tonight is not the animal most people think it is. It isn't just a scavenger that got lucky near a bin. It is one of the most effective hunters in the suburban world. And one hunting technique researchers discovered changed how scientists think about foxes entirely. Subscribe to Garden Wildlife. Mind if you're new here, you won't want to miss what's coming. Chapter 1. The Fox That Sees in the Dark. A mouse moves under a pile of leaves at the edge of your garden. You'd walk straight past it without knowing it was there. The fox already knows exactly where it is. It knows because it can smell it from 15 feet away. It knows roughly how far it is because it can hear it moving. And it can see the faint movement through darkness your eyes have no access to at all. A fox's eyes have a reflective layer behind the retina that bounces light through twice, giving it a second chance to pick up what's there. This is what makes a fox's eyes glow when headlights catch them at night. In conditions that would leave you nearly blind, a fox is seeing clearly. Its sense of smell is roughly 40 times stronger than a human's, and its ears rotate independently, like 2 small satellite dishes, picking up sounds at frequencies you'll never hear. It can detect a mouse moving under 6 inches of snow. It can hear a worm pushing through soil. Here's what all of that means when the fox is standing in your garden and you're asleep upstairs. You are both in the same space. You're experiencing it as dark, quiet, and empty. The fox is experiencing a completely different version of that same garden, one that's alive with movement, smell, and sound. A map of exactly where everything is and exactly what it's doing. The garden you think is empty at 2 in the morning is, to the fox, full of information. Chapter 2. The route it already planned. At 2007 a.m., the fox enters your garden through the same gap in your fence it used last night. And the night before that, it doesn't hesitate. It doesn't check whether the way is clear. It already knows. It turns immediately toward the back hedgerow, moves along the left fence line, pauses at the compost area, then sweeps across the lawn in the same arc it always uses. The whole circuit takes roughly the same amount of time it took yesterday. Red foxes in suburban areas establish what researchers call hunting circuits. Set routes through a territory, followed night after night, hitting the same locations in roughly the same order. These routes aren't random. They're built around the spots where prey has been found before, the areas where food is most reliably available, and the specific gaps that allow movement between properties without crossing open ground. Your garden is probably a stop on one of those circuits right now. The fox has it mapped. The section of lawn where earthworms surface after rain. The corner near the compost that's always worth checking. The hedgerow where small rodents shelter. All of it figured out on earlier visits, filed away, returned to in the same order on a schedule that lines up with when each area tends to produce. And the circuit changes with the seasons. In summer, more time on open lawn. In autumn, more time in hedgerows. In spring, the whole route expands to feed cubs. The fox isn't following a habit, it's following a strategy that updates itself. And your garden is already part of that strategy. Chapter 3. The stalk you'd never see coming. A mouse sits in the grass 12 feet away, completely still, completely unaware. The fox lowers its body until it's almost flat against the ground. Its steps become precise, each paw placed slowly and deliberately, avoiding anything that might crack or rustle. Its tail drops straight back for balance. Its ears lock forward, tracking the faint sound of the mouse's breathing. It covers those 12 feet without the mouse ever knowing it was coming. This is called the stalk, and it is one of the most practiced things a red fox does. Researchers who filmed fox hunting behavior frame by frame have found that during a stalk, a fox places its back paws almost exactly where its front paws just were. This reduces the sounds made and the amount of ground disturbed. It is a technique so precise it takes young foxes months to learn properly, and cubs that don't develop it well simply don't eat as reliably as ones that do. The patience involved is the part that surprises most people. A fox will sometimes hold a stalking position for several minutes if the prey pauses or goes still. It doesn't rush. It doesn't take chances. It waits until the moment is right, and then it moves. Most of the time, the prey never had a chance. The fox that passes through your garden at night has probably completed this exact sequence dozens of times before. Every visit is another opportunity to practice. Every meal earned this way makes the technique a little sharper. By the time it's crossing your lawn at 2 a.m, it has done this hundreds of times. Chapter 4. The Hunter That Remembers Everything. 3 nights ago, the fox buried a mouse under the edge of your shed. It didn't eat it. It had already eaten earlier in the circuit, so it dug a small hole, dropped the prey in, covered it back up, and moved on. Then it continued the rest of its route as if nothing had happened. Tonight it will come back for it. Not close to it. Not in the general area. To the exact spot. Navigating directly to a cache it buried days ago across a territory it shares with other foxes in different wind conditions with different scent patterns in the air. Researchers tracking individual foxes have found them maintaining dozens of active food stores across their range simultaneously, returning to specific caches with accuracy that goes beyond smell alone. A fox burying prey in a garden full of competing smells, then returning days later and finding the right spot, suggests something closer to spatial memory. The ability to hold a mental map of where things are stored and retrieve that information when it's needed. What this reveals is that the fox in your garden is not just operating in the present. Every catch that doesn't get eaten immediately becomes part of a stored system. Every cache is a future meal it can draw on when hunting is harder, when weather shifts, when prey gets scarce. The animal running through your garden at 2 a.m. is managing a food supply across time, across its entire territory. Using a memory that is more detailed and more reliable than most people would ever credit a fox with having. And it isn't done yet. Chapter 5. The One Watching from the Shadows. In spring and early summer, the fox running this circuit often isn't alone. A few months old, still clumsy, a fox cub will sometimes follow the adult on its nightly route. Not hunting yet, just watching. It watches the stalk. The pause, the pounce. It watches what happens when the technique is wrong and the prey escapes. It watches what happens when it's right. By autumn, if it has paid close enough attention and practiced enough times, it will be running its own circuit through its own territory, using the same stalk, the same patience, the same methods its parent demonstrated without ever intending to teach. The next time you see a young fox in your garden looking slightly uncertain, that is what you are watching. The next generation of the same hunter, still learning what the fox in your garden has already mastered. And the one thing the cub hasn't learned yet, the one technique that takes longest to develop, is the one we haven't covered yet. Chapter 6. The Magnetic Jump That Scientists Still Study. A fox stands at the edge of a snow-covered field. There's nothing visible, no movement, no tracks, nothing to suggest anything is under that snow at all. The fox tilts its head, rotates it slightly, then launches itself straight up into the air and comes down nose first into the snow, landing on something hidden underneath. It caught a mouse it couldn't see, couldn't smell clearly through the packed snow, and had never actually looked at. How? Researchers studying this behavior found something remarkable. Foxes appear to align their pounces with the Earth's magnetic field. They tend to jump most successfully from a northeast direction, and their success rate from that angle is significantly higher than from any other. This isn't a guess. Researchers actually measured the direction of hundreds of individual fox jumps across multiple studies and found the same pattern repeating. The northeast alignment produced successful catches far more often than random chance could explain. The leading theory is that foxes use the Earth's magnetic field as a kind of targeting system, a way of judging distance and direction to a sound source they can't otherwise locate precisely. The field gives them a reference point that works even when vision and smell aren't enough on their own. Very few land mammals have been documented doing anything like this. Researchers are still working to fully understand how it functions. Think about that. The fox standing in your garden on a winter night, tilting its head at nothing you can see, isn't confused. It's lining up a jump using a sense you don't have, targeting something you can't detect. in a way that is still being studied. That is what's happening in your garden, in the dark, while you sleep. Chapter 7. What's actually happening out there. So the next time you look out your window late at night and catch a fox moving through your garden, here's what you're actually looking at. An animal that can see in the dark, hear through soil, and smell things buried under grass. One that entered through the same gap it used last night, following the same circuit it already has memorized. One that can stalk 12 feet without making a sound. One that remembers where it buried food days ago across its entire territory. And one that aligns its jumps using the Earth's magnetic field in a way scientists are still working to explain. It is not a scavenger that got lucky. It is one of the most quietly capable hunters in the suburban world, doing something extraordinary in your garden in the dark while you sleep. Tonight, while you're asleep, a fox will very likely cross the same patch of grass it crossed last night, following the same route, hunting the same way, seeing things in the darkness that you never will. Tell me in the comments if you've ever watched a fox hunting in your garden at night. What did you see it doing? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.